So in this episode, I want to take you a little bit behind the scenes of what's going on in the six-figure business, because there's a lot of misconceptions, and I work on this with my clients whenever they come to see me, if you will, like whenever they hire me to help them grow. And sometimes they come in at, $50,000 per month. Sometimes they come in at by 10, 15, 20. That's probably the most common, where the 20K, the 10 20K area, where people like they get some traction, but like it just feels a little bit off, and like difficult and messy, starts to become messy, and then you feel the first signs of burnout, and you're like, I must be doing something wrong. And so I wanted to take you kind of pull up the curtain a little bit, and tell you what it looks like from my perspective. And so I don't have a team. I have a MacBook Pro. I have a backpack I walk with, everywhere, that put my laptop in. I have my iPad with my Apple Pen. I have a phone, a inexpensive microphone for podcasting, which you definitely don't need. That's basically it, right? And fast Wi-Fi. And so most people think that you need the team. Most people think you need an office. Most people think you need all these other things and be busy. And some people feel good when they're busy. Some people feel like, oh, I'm busy. They feel important. They feel, feeling busy makes them feel accomplished. And I think I used to be like that as well in the past, when back in the corporate, when, I was doing 60 hours weeks, and I had the title and the team and important meetings and important conversations, and someone called you in the middle, of the weekend, then you feel like you're important because they need your advice, or they need they need to discuss something with you. But that's gone, because I value freedom of decisions, my decisions, what I want to do, when I want to do, what kind of podcast I want to, record today, what I want to work on today, where and when I want to travel, how much money I want to be making, because really that is all up to me. How much money I'm making is completely up to me. It's not up to the market. It's not up to my boss. It's just me. And I need to figure out how to make more if I want to, right? So some of my clients come to me and they're like, hey, I'm at 25K. I just want to make it more stable. I don't want to grow more. And that's completely fine. And some of my clients will come in and they say, well, I'm at 25. I don't want to be at 100K. Help me grow, right? And so there's no right or wrong answer here. You have to make sure that you are following your own path, and you're following your own kind of chasing the experience you want to have in your life and your business. And that's something that I always start with when it comes to working with clients. I ask them this question, like, what kind of experience do you want to have, both in life and in business? Like, are you willing to work a little bit longer or more hours? Do you want to travel more? Do you want, like, what is it that you want? And that is the stepping stone or the foundation for us deciding what the business model should be and what kind of offers we should present and build, and what kind of services we can deliver. But I wanted to give you an idea of what it means from my perspective, because most people think that freedom comes after the hustle, and what I did is I engineered it from the get-go, from day one. So I'll break down exactly how I run a lean, high-profit business without selling my soul, without being stressed, without being kind of glued to Slack notifications. And obviously, guys, take it with a grain of salt, because this is me and this is my business. This is how I structure this. There's a reason why I have it this way, because it works for me. I like to be healthy. I like to go to the gym. I like to travel when I want. I like the freedom, and I hate, my brand is a business rebel, and I hate being told what to do. So very often people will have this idea of having freedom after something happens. Just until I hit $1 million, I'll be free. I'll have this, freedom idea. Just until the team is built, just until I have 10 clients just until I get that exit, so they're pushing until that thing, right? But I almost fell in the trap of going the same direction. Actually, I fell into the trap because I had 3 agencies, one in Europe, one in Canada, one in the US. And that was after I quit my corporate job and I worked for Fortune 50 companies. It was, like I said, 60 hours plus weeks. Pretty, very good money, business travel that is not the same as, vacation travel, obviously. And you feel important, but you're just wasting your life. That was my feeling. And I'm not judging people who are in corporate. I'm just saying, to me, it felt like I'm wasting my time and my life on working with someone and on a lot of politics and corporate nonsense. And so I built a consulting business, and then as a side gig, I built an agency and another one and another one. And so what happened in the end is, as you grow those businesses, service-based businesses, you end up hiring more people to deliver the services that you sell, right? So because you no longer can deliver yourself, and the more clients you get, the more people you need to deliver the service. And so I fell into that trap of building another corporation for me, and working 50, 60 hours. Again, it felt like it was on my own terms, but it still was a prison, just different color, right? So what is important and how I fix that is that mindset shift of, a lot of people think that the more complex, the bigger the business, the more freedom you will have, because you have this kind of support mechanism of people and processes in place. But it's the opposite, obviously. The more complex things are, the less freedom you have. More complexity does not equal more freedom. And my decision, when I realized that, I was like, well, because I kept, my agency was growing, and I kept adding these elements and this process, this service, and this, with this service, because that client wanted that service, I needed to hire more people and things like that. So all of a sudden you have this, big, complex, hungry monster that, yes, is making, $300,000 per month, but, it's hungry. You have to be, sharp on your feet all day, and again, spend those 40, 60 hours, at least 40 hours, weeks. And the profitability wasn't that amazing, for the amount of work that you deliver. So I made a decision when I kind of had that wake up call of making it the freedom first business, not a traditional agency. And what that meant is I needed to stop doing the things that created that added that complexity, right? So I needed to remove myself from managing the team. I needed to remove myself from taking all the sales calls and actually having those sales calls in general, or at all. I needed to remove myself from building custom proposals. And so what I did was a simple exercise where you list all the things that are complicating your business, or are taking a lot of time in your business, and that are not delivering results, directly results. And also, then out of you have a list, and mark that list as something that feels either heavy or light, right? So if something is not delivering results for the client, and it feels heavy to you or your team to deliver, then obviously there's something wrong with that element. If something feels light, as in you like doing this, but it's not directly correlated with the business goals, maybe that's something you can keep, but it's not a total showstopper. But I would still argue that that's something that you should remove from your business, since it doesn't deliver direct results. And so basically, I had a list of things that I was doing and my business was doing, and I just noted down all the things that added complexity, right? So hiring was adding complexity, people were adding complexity, all the sales calls were adding complexity, creating custom proposals, creating custom bespoke projects for clients was adding complexity, creating new offers and adding new services was adding complexity. And so Once I did that, I was like, okay, well, so I now would see what's adding complexity. What would happen if I removed all the items that are adding the complexity? What kind of business do I have? And is there anything left? And can I build a business? And so that was the foundation for me. So what are the three main pillars of the something that I call the freedom blueprint, right? Something so what actually makes my business work as efficient as it does. So first of all is high leverage offers, right? So it's you need to think about high leverage offers as something that will allow you to scale without building that or adding that complexity. And so that can be, and probably mostly is, something that's digital. It's going or moving from one-on-one to a group delivery of service, and something that is productized. And so my approach or my way, so I tried a digital side. So I had a few courses that didn't go so well. I'm not saying courses are bad. I'm just saying it didn't work well for me. I went completely on the productized side of things. And also, I focused completely on working in group setting. So I went from working one-on-one to group setting. And my first, back when I no longer have the agency, but back when I had an agency, I added a group program to the agency that was a productized consulting, basically. So what has happened is that a lot of my leads would not be able to afford what I deliver. And I was charging like between $5,000 and $10,000 per month on a retainer basis. And they would come into me and they say, "Hey, we have this problem that you're solving, but we don't have the money to pay, 5 or 10K." And so I realized like 70% of leads that I was attracting were in that position. So I sat down, I was like, okay, well, what can I do about this? And so I started pitching them. I had this idea of like, what if instead of me doing those things for them, done for you, what if I did something that's called done with you, which is I'm going to show you how to get the same result. So I'm going to teach you how to get the result instead of delivering the result for you. And so I started pitching a $1,500 program, 6 or 8 weeks program, where I would teach my clients on how to build a funnel, because that's what they were getting from me as a service back then, 2016 or 17. So I saw a big uptake on a big interest in that. And so within 6 months, I was making more money delivering that done with you service than I was making on a one-on-one service delivery in my agency. And basically what it was just a cohort-based service where I would get 5-10 people at any given time, and I would teach them in a structured way on how to build a funnel for themselves. And so it was 10 people paying me $1,500 per month for 6 to 8 weeks, or let's say 2 months, right? So it was $15,000 per month. And I would have 10 people in the group, and I would spend, an hour on a call with them and maybe 2 other hours throughout the week on Slack answering their questions. So I was working 3 hours per week with that group, making $15,000 per month. And when I realized this, and then my agency was, making, I don't know, $20, $30, $50,000 at that point. And I'm like, well, we're doing all this work in the agency with all the, team members and whatever, all the processes, and we make this amount of money, and the profit is X. And yet here I am spending literally 3 hours in a week doing this other thing that I get a lot of traction with in 3 hours and a great profit. And so I'm like, well, this seems to be like a no-brainer to me to be doing this instead of the actual agency, right? So I looked at it from a perspective like, how can I build a framework instead of selling hours? How can I build a framework? How can I leverage myself? And that was the group consulting, basically, right? So a very common objection here is that like, oh, my clients want to work with me, they will not be able to get them results, blah, blah, blah. That's all unjustified and not really funded. It's just probably a limiting belief. And I had the same thing. I was like, well, clients will not be able to get the same result. They will not be happy with moving from one-on-one to group, because by the way, what I did is I moved, not only did I close new clients coming in who couldn't afford me, but I also moved the existing clients from working with me one-on-one to working in a group setting, which sounds a little bit counterintuitive, because I moved from charging them 5K per month to like 1,500 or 2,000, but then they would stay with me for months and I could have more clients at the same time and just scaled like crazy. And so that objection of like, no, my clients will not be able to do that, not be able to, won't be willing to move to, group setting, whatever, it's just not what we see in the market, right? So that's number one. Number two, obviously, just leveraging, lean backend and tools. I have the MacBook, like I said, Notion, Stripe, Google Docs, all that stuff. I spend less than 5 hours per week on calls. If I have more cohorts, then, I probably usually don't have more than 5 cohorts, and each call is around an hour and a half, maybe. Okay, so even if it's 10 hours per week, that's maximum. Each cohort is 5 people. So you have 25, you talk to 25 people and they pay you, $3,000-4,000 per month. That's what a business is basically, right? And a cool test that I would like you to conduct is to see whether your business would survive if you removed yourself from the business for 3 days. And some people call it a what is it? Hit by a bus a test, where imagine you hit by a bus. Does your business survive? But like, it's pretty dramatic. So I want you to think about, you go on vacation just randomly in the middle of the week for 3 days. Would your business survive? If it would, then you're in great shape when it comes to processes and then team and whatever. If it wouldn't, then that is your basically first indication of like something is wrong, right? So having that lean backend that supports the business is important. And again, it's nothing crazy. It's Zoom, it's Notion, it's Stripe, and things that like for example, these days I deliver a lot of lead magnets or micro magnets. I do at least one a day. And I no longer build, PDFs. I no longer build websites for it. I either use Google Doc to deliver or Notion page and just share the link. That allows me to have a really fast delivery on the idea and test the idea fast and see if it works. If it works, then I can kind of go down the rabbit hole and follow that path. But if it doesn't, then there's not much work put into a new micromagnet. So I can just, from an idea to delivery, I can create a lead magnet or micromagnet in 2-3 hours, and that's very highly valuable to my clients. It's not a nonsense thing. So something, remember about like supporting yourself in the most lean way in terms of how you deliver your work for the clients, right? Or in your business in general. So that might be marketing and sales. And so your system, so number 3, kind of the third element is that kind of system-driven simplicity, where your systems to deliver for clients that are absolutely simplified. Like, I do have a VIP portal, but more often than not, again, I use Notion page. So whenever I onboard new clients, I just add them to a Notion page. I have access to all the documents there. They have a dedicated Notion page. There's nothing complicated. I don't even have a Kajabi account or Kajabi. I don't use Kajabi or anything like that. I mean, I do have a member vault, which is like Kajabi thing, but basically I just store some videos there and some worksheets, but it's not my main thing. My main thing is Google Doc and Notion Doc. So that's when it comes to delivery. I just use a Notion Doc. When it comes to lead generation, it's pretty easy. It's content. When it comes to building awareness, know, like, and trust factor, I use LinkedIn. I use specific content that gives me hand raisers. So people who say, well, I want this thing from you, and then that can spark the conversation with them, like, hey, here it is, and by the way, why did you reach out? Or like, what's happening in your business? Like, when someone raises their hand as a response to your content, your post about something, then that means they do have a problem that you potentially can fix, right? So And so the last bit, so one is content, the other one is hand raisers or hand raising posts, and then piece number 3 is the DMs. It's all LinkedIn. I spend the most of my time when it comes to growing my business is spent on LinkedIn and just talking to people. It's not a sleazy conversation, and you should listen to my episode about sales. It's just having conversation with someone to understand whether they have a problem that you can fix and whether they're willing to fix it and whether they're willing to pay you. So that's pretty simple. So very, very easy client delivery systems, very repeatable lead generation, and then boundaries as defaults, right? So I don't have back-to-back calls. I take my Fridays off. Gym is non-negotiable. So I build the business around the lifestyle I want to have, not the other way around. Because you will create a space for the things that you want and need, and the rest will be just an add-on. And so I want my business to kind of be an add-on to my life, not my life to be an add-on to the business. So having that in mind, and again going back to like understanding what kind of experience you want to have in your business as the North Star is super, super important, because that then allows you to cascade down into like what kind of offer do you want to have, what kind of systems do you want to have or need to have, what kind of tools do I need to have, and other things. If you start kind of doing that backwards, then you will end up building a monster. So there's that. What is important for you guys is to understand like what the freedom is now. It's not in the future. Like you have to think about building a business that gives you freedom now and not in the future. Like you have to build the foundations now, and you have to have an idea of like what kind of business, what kind of experience you want to have, versus just build something and then wake up one day and you say, shit, this is not something I wanted, right? Because then it's you feel resentful, you feel tired, you feel the burnout and all these other things. And it's very often just easier to drop a bomb and start from scratch than it is to fix things. And you're emotionally attached and it's hard to walk away and all these other things. So start from, think about the freedom first, freedom now kind of mindset, and then build around that, right? So that gives you really, like, if you are in a position where you can simply wake up in the morning and say, well, today is a beautiful day, I'm just going to go for a hike, which is what I do. And then let's say it's rainy and you feel like it's a cozy day and you want to watch a show, you can do that. Or if it's raining, if you're like super creative and super pumped and super like driven, you can just spend 12 hours working on your stuff if you feel like it. And so with that being said, like, I'm not saying you shouldn't have any processes or structure to your day, because I feel like if I don't have a structure to my day or structure to what I do, I feel like I'm losing that kind of, what's the word? Not connection, but like I'm losing control over what's happening. So I do batch my days, like in terms of, let's say on Monday, I will do content, on Tuesday, I will do this, on Wednesday, I'll do that. I have the flexibility to move those days, but I have non-negotiable days for content, non-negotiable days for sales, non-negotiable days for something else. So I batch those days and I make sure they happen, because if they don't happen, your business won't grow, right? So, and my focus has always been profit, not the revenue. I don't care if you're making $100,000 per month if your profit margin is 10%. I'd rather make $30,000 per month, have less headache, less clients, less processes, and have 80% margin, obviously. And I've had numerous cases where clients would come to me at 50, 100K, 150K per month, very low margins, and we would either close completely that business and build something new, or build another leg of the business. 90% of the time, that would be a group consulting or group coaching offer, whether that would be a kind of consulting program or cohort-based program or an online course, something like that, on the side of the business, and then slowly move the focus from the one-on-one to that to that one-to-many offer, because that is where the profitability and scale is, right? So look at the profitability and not the revenue. I know it's a nice flex to say, well, we make $1 million a month, but what is really the biggest flex is how much profit you make. And so that's about it. I mean, it's just it's more so to explain like my philosophy and mindset around building a business, I guess, than it is to tell you exactly like where things are or when it comes to like what kind of offers I have. But the type of offers I have: group coaching, group consulting. I have some, small online courses. I have a lot of micromagnets, which are attracting new leads. I do a lot of content on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not the only platform. You can choose whatever the hell you want. I mean, just focus on one. The idea that is behind the success, I guess, is to have a very specific problem, to work on a very specific problem for a very specific audience with a very specific fix, and deliver that fix in a very specific time frame with very specific deliverable for a very specific price. And that specificity will help you build a business that is easy to run, easy to deliver. You can be a one-man show. You can have a VA. I do have VAs that are helping me out with some stuff here and there. That is the business that will help you with your kind of freedom blueprint, build your own freedom blueprint. I do have three main offers. So like one main offer, one's a sprint that's 2-3 months. And then I have a long-term offer, which is an annual program. And I have a mastermind. And I wouldn't say you should have those three as well. I have them because of where I am right now when it comes to the growth and what I see is needed. And it builds a really nice flywheel. But that's exactly like that's about it. And it's around 86 to 90% profit margin business. That doesn't bring much stress, and I do what I love and I get clients results, and I don't feel burnt out, and I feel like I can be doing this way longer still. So hope this makes sense. And yeah, that's basically it. I mean, it's to summarize, have some sort of a leveraged offer, group consulting or hybrid model, focus on solving one very painful problem, fast for good money. Have repeatable framework when it comes to how you deliver. When it comes to lead gen, just have content-led, system. You have strategic hand raisers posts. You have DMs. I don't do paid ads. I don't have really like sophisticated funnels. I don't have anything that's like super, super complicated or no systems there. I just use Tally, Notion, Google Doc. When it comes to delivery, you have a couple calls per week maximum, asynchronous support on Slack. And then, all your assets and frameworks, they do the heavy lifting. So you have pre-recorded stuff that you give to your clients in Notion, Doc, whatever. And that's what, that's what does the heavy lifting. The most difficult piece here is that you need to build those assets. And that's a story for the different podcast, I guess, episode. You have to build those assets, and it's not easy to dump how you do things to build that group consulting, group coaching program, because you are good at what you do, and it just feels like, well, I just magically do things and they happen. But if this is the most difficult part, I guess, of building the business. But once this is done, then once you have 10-20 videos recorded on certain multiple questions, kind of FAQ type of approach, then you don't have to answer those questions to your clients. You just direct them to whatever whatever you store it, right? So try, test again. Like I said, do a test of 3 days away system and see if it's, if your business survives, and see, again, run your business as a freedom first business, and then build everything around it.